I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh, shit.
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
All I'm saying is granola is a fucking waste of time. I mean, I can eat a whole box of granola and never get fucking full. I don't understand these people. Granola this, granola that. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Why? I get it. It's a roughage. It helps you shit better, I suppose. Is that the consensus?
I guess.
Because you're not losing weight by it. Because granola breaks down into your system into pure sugar. So
I don't know. The only thing I eat granola in is parfaits. And that's like once every 5 years. If I'm like, oh, there's a parfait there. And that's usually at like a hospital. For some reason, hospitals have parfaits.
Yeah, they always do. They
And
always
then
have
I'm
these
like-
trashy ass parfaits. And parfaits are another food that I get angry with because I don't want crunchy ice cream. It's not my thing.
Parfait is not ice cream.
Isn't a parfait like the
No,
parfait's
it's
like
yogurt.
the yogurt.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want crunchy yogurt then. I don't.
I like crunchy yogurt.
Anyway, you know what's not a waste of time is doing a regular episode of Night of the Horror File.
Well, okay, that's
Okay, it's not a waste of time for me. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Oh my God, it's been like
10
years.
It has been 2 weeks since we've done a normal episode. Brittany has had a long break. Welcome to Night of the
Couldn't give
Horror.
me a break when I had surgery. Both times couldn't give me a break when I had surgery.
Well, Lee got to touch a wiener and now he's less of a Nazi. So anyway, welcome back to Night of the Horror File. That's right. Weekly podcast where I take a horror movie and show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany, and she either enjoys it or she fucking hates it. John Carpenter.
Yeah.
That's who we're here to talk about today. That's the one of the movies of the master of horror. Because what did we watch this week?
They Live.
That's right. They Live.
I didn't think about it.
And you, so far, with John Carpenter's work, we've done The Thing, which was famously hated by you. You absolutely hated The Thing. Then we did The Fog, right? And Halloween and Escape from New York. So not counting today's feature, because we'll get to that at the end of the show. But how are you so far with John Carpenter's work?
He does movies. It is what it is. I mean, you could have told me that our cat directed that movie and I'd be like, okay, I still don't care. Like,
what's really funny is Brittany famously does not, well, famously, I know it, but she does not catch like director tones or like director themes and stuff like that. Even though you've watched like a good portion of his works now, and it's hilarious.
The only director I don't like is where I catch his themes and I don't like him is, and then I can't even think of his name now, is from Twin Peaks, the dude.
David Lynch. Brittany is 0 to 0 with David Lynch. She likes some of Twin Peaks. If you're listening to Damn Fine Peaks over on the Patreon, she so far likes some of Twin Peaks. The episode by episode, it changes.
It varies, yes.
But none of the movies. She has not
Absolutely
dug a
not.
single one of the movies. And we've only watched 2, which is Blue Velvet and Dune, which I don't know why I chose Dune. That was a bad idea.
I felt like that movie lasted for like 3 years.
It is. It's a very big epic, but I think it's only like an hour or something.
No, absolutely not. That movie has to be at least 4 hours long.
I don't think so. I think it's not that long.
Let me look this up.
Because that's one of the things. It compresses like a whole fucking Bible of a book into one movie. But anyway, she'll get back to us with the runtime.
I'm looking it up.
But so So what a wonderful way to jump back to some horror movies here on Night of the Horrorphile with John Carpenter's biting attack on American consumerism and class warfare, They Live. Now, the idea for They Live actually started out as a short story published back in 1963 in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction by Ray Faraday Nelson. Now, the original short story dealt with a man who undergoes hypnotism only to find out when he awakes that he is the sole human to discover a conspiracy by a race of creatures called fascinators.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and in the book, they put us all into a state of compliance in order to literally consume us, to eat us. A comic adaptation appeared in the pages of Alien Encounters, written by Nelson, with art by Bill Ray, and this was around 1986, about 2 years before Carpenter acquired the rights to both and released his version of the story. Now, Carpenter isn't credited with writing the screenplay, even though he did, because it was from so many sources and inputs. He had cast and crew giving him input during, and he felt like in good conscience he couldn't just put his name on the thing. So we invented a moniker to incorporate everybody, and that's Frank Armitage is credited as a screenwriter here, and that name comes from Carpenter, his love of H.P. Lovecraft. In one of H.P. Lovecraft's many stories, I think this character appears. There's a character with the last name Armitage in there. Well, you can definitely see influences, like the influence on many of. Now, you can definitely see the many influences on Carpenter's work. Like Lovecraft, Carpenter loves the idea of a hidden world underneath our own, where old gods are repressed and once roamed the earth, but were driven beneath and slowly begin emerging again. I don't think we talked about H.P. Lovecraft too much on the show, besides like whenever we do a John Carpenter movie. I think I mention him once or twice.
Right.
Have you ever known anything about H.P. Lovecraft, like Cthulhu? And you got to know what Cthulhu is from just pure memes, you know?
I've heard you say that word a couple times. Do I? H.P. Lovecraft, was he a writer?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
He was also like a vehemently racist, but anyway.
We'll see. I don't fuck with that shit. So,
but we might do an H.P. Lovecraft week. That'd be kind of fun.
I think we talked about.
We've talked about him several times, like with Reanimator, The Fog, because I think out of all John Carpenter's work, The Fog truly is the most H.P. Lovecraft influenced.
Okay.
But we haven't really dove deep, and so maybe a week or so we'll do an H.P. Lovecraft month or something like that. We'll do it week by week.
Do
I
we
don't
have
know.
movies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Stuart Gordon, a lot of his works were influenced by H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft influences a lot of modern day horror, whether you like him or not. You know, we get a lot of the weird different universes and stuff from him. But anyway.
Okay.
Shot in 8 weeks. Principal photography was mainly shot in Los Angeles, and they had a budget of a little over $3 million. Now, They Live is an almost eerily perfect portrayal of greed and capitalism.
Oh yeah,
and the Reagan era specifically. Also, a kick to the head of the wealthy and fascists. You know, the true villains of the world, I think.
I like it. I
love, there's so many little instances where you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it only gets more relatable as it ages well. You know? Like it's like a fine wine, this movie. Like I remember watching this when I was a kid, and you don't pick up on a lot of the political undertones. It's just a fun movie with a guy versus aliens, you know?
Right.
But then as you get older, you start relating more and more, and it starts fitting into the times more and more, to the point where you watch this today and you're like, oh dear God.
This is too relatable, too scary. Turn it off.
No joke. So with all that in mind, let's dive into 1988's They Live.
So we start off by walking through LA with a man named Nada.
You know.
And he gets to see Leigh getting probed by aliens on the street.
Right in the street. They're just doing it in the streets now.
Yep. And nobody is saving you.
They might as well. It would be the less shocking thing that we've seen in the past 4 years. Anyway, while also being great on its own and providing so much room for conversation, we're going to have a lot of conversation today. They Live is groundbreaking in another way, too. This was probably the first movie to really usher in the pro wrestlers as leading men. You know? Now, I'm not saying wrestlers haven't been in movies before 1988. No, you can go way back and see wrestlers all over the place in bit roles. You know, you could go to Mexico and see luchadors as the center of the movies. They led the movies. They were heroes. Sometimes they were villains and stuff like that. So it's not that odd of a thing.
Right.
For the rest of the world, too. But mostly wrestlers were used, like I said, in parts that needed big, tough dudes, you know, because of their size and their physique and stuff. They were usually cast as monsters, thugs, side henchmen, you know, those kind of guys.
Right.
But it was Roddy Piper who would be the first wrestler to star in the lead in a movie that was #1 at the box office.
So not John Cena?
No. Or The Rock.
Oh,
He beat both
I forgot
of them.
about him.
I mean, if anything,
How did I forget about The Rock?
he came before John Cena. You're just thinking John Cena. Well, I don't know why, because you just can't see him. I don't.
I can't see him. Oh, I know why I was thinking about him, because kids were yelling John Cena today.
Oh man, dude, that Peacekeeper show or Peacemaker. Whew.
Is he in that?
Yeah, he's in his underwear in one scene. It's just, whoa.
How did you see him?
Well, I saw it. But anyway. Yeah, The Rock and John Cena, all our modern day wrestlers turned actors owe a big thanks to, I think, Roddy Piper. Like I said, he would be the first in a #1 film. I'll talk more about Hot Rod later, because I love Roddy Piper. He's probably one of my favorite of the classic wrestlers, above Hulk Hogan. You guys, I'm sorry, I'm a heel guy. I like the villains, but I always thought the villains were much more interesting.
Was Hogan a villain?
Hogan was a good guy. He was Hulkamania, the Hulkster, and then he turned heel when he went to Hollywood Hogan during the Attitude Era. But anyway, we're not talking wrestling.
But Roddy Piper was a villain?
He was a villain, yeah. Like I said, I'll talk about Hot Rod later. Now, Piper would, in fact, credit Carpenter for jump-starting the wrestler-turned-actor migration. And it's so common these days. I mean, wrestlers make great fucking actors.
Right.
They really do. You retire from the ring, go be a movie star.
Because wrestling is not real.
I think the general consensus is wrestling isn't real, except for the stuff they do is real. They are fucking athletes. You know, I'll attest to that.
Yeah, you're going to have to be tough to pick somebody up.
Oh my God. Like a lot of people who get into the whole side where it's like, that shit ain't real and this and that, it's all scripted. They don't understand, like, when you watch a wrestling match, you're basically watching professional stuntmen.
Right.
Beat the fuck out of each other for an hour on end. I mean, you watch some of the classic wrestling documentaries and stuff like that. They're talking about how they used to use tacks to cut each other open to get them to bleed. It might not be real, the feuds and stuff like that, but that shit ain't easy. You know?
Right. It's not easy to lift like a 300-pound man over your head.
There's a fucking reason why most of our beloved wrestlers die at like 50 or 60 from heart attacks and shit like that. I mean, they put their bodies through hell.
I'm surprised Hogan hasn't after his meat.
That's Sex Tape, man. That's the best movie Hulk Hogan ever did.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about
the Sex Tape.
The star of that.
That was amazing.
Movie.
I ate too much pork. Hulk Hogan being a normal dude.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, let's get to the movie.
So we're walking through LA with a man named Nada. Actually, they never say his name in this movie.
No, it's never spoken.
And he's looking for a job. He goes to the employment office and he says that he came from Colorado, and he says something about banks.
Yeah, he talks about he's probably, there's not much backstory on Nada. You know, in the original short story, there wasn't either. But in the short story, his name is George Nada. So that's where that's his last name. They keep saying it, even though they never say it in the movie. He's just credited that way. Right. But no, I'm picking up that maybe he used to work for banks or something. You know, they never quite say. He just said the banks shut down.
He robbed the banks.
Oh, maybe. Was this a joke that he was telling her? Because I always thought he was saying a joke, like he was robbing. He was like making a joke about robbing
No.
banks to see if she was listening?
I think he robbed banks. Did you see him go into that bank?
I don't know, man.
He's a professional, okay?
I don't know though, because later we get an America speech from him, which gets my
That
my
doesn't
old
mean
school
he
America
didn't
heart
want to.
going.
That doesn't mean he didn't want to rob banks.
True.
If you can make a profession out of robbing banks, you make millions of fucking dollars.
I don't think it's possible to rob a bank anymore, man. You always get
I don't
caught.
know. I watched
Remember
that really
guy?
good movie. You need to watch that
Okay,
movie.
but that's a movie. That's Gerard Butler. That man couldn't rob a bank if it saved his own ass.
He didn't rob a bank in that movie.
Okay, well, I never watched the movie. I'm sorry, but
You gotta watch.
But I don't think you can rob a bank anymore because, like, you saw that one dude in Tulsa who tried to rob that bank with a professional fucking makeup job and everything.
That's because he smoked too much meth before he went in there.
I guess. I don't know. They still caught him. But anyway,
That's because he smoked too much meth.
That's how everyone gets caught in Tulsa doing crimes. They smoke too much.
We have to pause that for a second.
Oh, shit. We're pausing the movie, you guys.
I'm sorry.
Those of you who hate hearing us laugh and talk are just gonna have to turn the podcast off.
You're just gonna have to turn it off. No, the other day our power kept going out.
Oh my god!
And we won't go into big details about that. Okay?
No, it
but
just
the
kept going out.
reason that the power kept going out is because someone stole the power cords.
Someone stole
power
the power
cables.
company's main wire got stolen in our area. So some tweaker went and stole the fucking wire.
What the fuck?
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, only in Tulsa. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he tells the employment lady that he came from Colorado, and she says she doesn't have any jobs for him right now.
Relatable.
So, yeah. So he then goes walking, and he sees this man preaching about how the government owns them.
Man, even the crazy, you think he's crazy at first because that's typically what street preachers are. But like, even the stuff he's talking about, you're kind of like, yeah. Oh, I'm feeling you, buddy. I'm feeling you, crazy preacher man.
Right there with you, brother.
No. Now, like I said, Nada was the main character of our movie here. The role was originally written for Kurt Russell at first.
You could tell.
You know? Oh, totally.
You could definitely
Totally. You could see Kurt Russell doing this movie. It'd be easy. But Carpenter kind of felt like he should probably go a different way since by this time he had worked with Kurt in about 4 other fucking movies. The Thing, Escape from New York, Elvis, and Big Trouble in Little China. So he'd already made Kurt Russell like this big time star. You know, in his mind, he still kept that the role was meant for someone rugged but believable, you know, someone who looks like they've actually lived a life. So I'm glad he didn't go for someone like Schwarzenegger. I butchered that fucking name. Schwarzenegger. How do I say it without saying it like I'm sounding the N-word? Schwarzenegger. Thank you. Or good Lord, I almost wandered into. Anyway, or Stallone, who were considered. They were literally considered for this movie, but you know, I don't think as much as I love those guys' movies, they don't have very much humanity to them when they're doing a movie.
Oh yeah,
you know, Stallone's early stuff, sure, but he's still just got nothing to his face. There's nothing to those dudes. Like, there's no facial expressions half the time.
They're just there, like. Yeah, resting bitch face.
Arnold fucking played a robot just because he has no facial expressions. But so I'm glad he didn't choose that because, like I said, you know, you want someone like Kurt Russell or something that looks the action star part, but also just, you know, they look like a human. So after being a fan of wrestling, which is something not a lot of people talk about, John Carpenter's a wrestling fan. He had seen Roddy Piper do his character work. Now, Roddy was so good at playing a heel and so convincing with his character work that a few times he almost worked the crowd into riots because of how good he was at getting them to hate him.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's the fun of the heel in wrestling. They're so much fun to hate and stuff. And these guys, most of these guys will stay in character. That's what's funny. They'll stay in character on Twitter and stuff like that.
Oh,
They're
nice.
supposed to be the villain. That's the fun
Right.
of them and stuff until you hear about them like donating their time at the children's hospital, and then those stories come out and you're like, oh, he's a big old teddy bear. But anyway, it's the same for Roddy Piper. If you look back at some of the stories, he was a genuinely good guy. Now, he was so good that Vince McMahon, he had him do these segments between matches where he would interview other wrestlers and stuff and do skits and stuff.
Oh.
Called the Piper's Pit. It was great. It was probably seeing these that Carpenter kind of started noticing him, during this stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Carpenter, since he was a kid, he was a wrestling fan. He even wrote like an article for Ring magazine at one point. But the two even had dinner the night before WrestleMania 3, where John point blank asked him if he wanted to be in the movie.
Oh.
And Roddy said sure, and that was it. Like it literally was just that simple.
You want to be in my movie? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carpenter said after just sitting down with him, that was it. It was his face, So after WrestleMania 3, 1987, and the match between Roddy Piper and Adrian Adonis, which would be his retirement match, Roddy was officially signed on to do They Live, which is awesome because outside of WWE, Roddy wasn't such a huge star yet.
Right.
He would gain some celebrity status. He was on his way to becoming a household name after this whole feud he did with Lauper. Cindy
Lauper.
Sorry.
Okay. I was thinking blonde.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking Madonna, and I was like, wrong person.
I don't know why her name escaped me. I love Cindy Lauper. But anyway, to say I'm pansexual without saying I'm pansexual. But yeah, they started a whole little feud between the two where he kicked her in the head during a match one day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, with Andre the Giant. The 80s was a weird place, you guys. But anyway, so he was on his way to becoming a household name, but he wasn't that famous with just regular moviegoers,
Right.
In fact, Carpenter considered a more famous person to do this role. He was maybe kicking around the name Tom Cruise or Patrick Swayze too.
Oh God.
I couldn't see Tom Cruise doing this. Because this
don't
is
want to see
80s
Tom Cruise do anything.
You don't like Tom Cruise.
I
am a
don't
big
like-
Tom Cruise fan. I don't know what it is. As crazy as that guy gets, they could be like Tom Cruise skinned a baby and ate it alive. And I'd be like, well, the last movie was pretty good, though. I don't know what it is about that guy. But
well, then you can go be in his cult with him.
No. I'll start my own cult, but I'm staying far away from that Scientology shit. Now, known asshole of the universe, Vince McMahon, didn't want Roddy to do the movie for whatever weird reason. McMahon's told Roddy he would find him another movie to do at the same pay in 4 weeks,
Okay.
Yeah, like why? Roddy said fuck that and passed,
Right.
which would have him splitting for, at the time, WWF. WWF got sued by World Wildlife Foundation and had to change their name to WWE.
Yeah.
But, now Carpenter asked him why and during a commentary one time, and Piper just said because McMahon was a control freak, which kind of, it tracks.
Right.
Knowing McMahon, Now Carpenter and Piper both have issues with authority, which I think pairing them together with this movie is so perfect. As Roddy put it in an interview once, he said, ask me for a shirt off my back and I'll give it to you, but tell me and not a chance.
Right.
But the split was probably the best thing Roddy did, because when he came back to wrestling, because he came back years later, he said that he was more famous than he was when he left. It was even better when he came back. Now, Carpenter to this day still says the politics of wrestling business is something he'll never get, and neither do I. That is a weird fucking thing, It is weird. It's almost like a politics of itself, because you have different little wrestling organizations now. It's not just WWE. You have AEW and all these other things. I remember you asked me to explain it to you, and I was like, first of all, I left off during the Attitude Era, so I know nothing about this new shit. I felt so bad at Joe Bob's Jamboree because I didn't know who Danhausen was. I was like, oh, this poor guy. Do I go get his autograph? I don't know who he is. I mean, everybody was going to him, but I was just like, I feel bad because I don't know who this is.
I don't know.
I feel like wrestling, trying to get into wrestling now is kind of like trying to pick up comic books. You know, like there's been so many issues and so many storylines and all this shit. I'll just be fucking lost.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But also, Roddy said that he had been doing it for 12 years. You know, his body was taking a beating and it was time for a break.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, listen to the commentary on this movie with Carpenter and Roddy Piper. It's so fun. Brittany's like, no, I'm listening to it now. Why would I fuck what I? What are you thinking in your head when I'm rambling on in these long rants about a movie?
Well, I just play this game on my phone. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit, I've been playing too long and not talking. Like I need to speak something for a second.
Yeah, Nixon. Just look at, what?
Yep. That's about right. If I'm just too quiet over here and Lee's just rambling, sorry. I forgot to look up a little too long.
But I'm sorry, we're laughing too hard now. Look, we better take that laughing down a bit.
People may not know what you're talking about.
Okay. Somebody sent us a message talking about we needed to stop laughing after everything.
We need to stop laughing at our own jokes.
I'm sorry. This bitch is funny. I'm going to keep laughing, you guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I married someone who makes me laugh. Why aren't you making me frown over there?
I mean, I can.
But anyway, Carpenter.
I don't know why that made me
I don't know.
laugh.
That's funny to me. See, we're just laughing more. I feel like releasing an episode with just laughs, like just to piss that person off.
Just like clip our laughs in.
Yeah, just a bunch of laughs.
And
the
our
all laugh hour or
the
something.
stupidest jokes that we have.
Just like I tell a butt joke and it's just an hour and a half of laughter. But no, that commentary on the Blu-ray is great. Like at one point, Carpenter says, you know, he tells Roddy, you've made more movies than me. I've only made like 20. To which Roddy replies, yeah, but you made 20 good ones.
Yeah.
Roddy would make a lot of movies. He did a lot of movies in his lifetime, and he would go on to do voiceover acting and stuff. He did some stuff for Green Lantern and stuff like that. And he also had a guest spot on which was kind of making fun of the movie The Wrestler, and also himself a little bit. He was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played a crazy wrestler in I think season 5. But that show has been on for a lot longer than I think it should be.
So fucking long.
I keep tuning in though, and it's still funny. You know, it's kind of like they just found the formula and we're like, we're not fixing this. It's not broke. Let's just keep going. And it's great. I'm good with it. He was pretty fucking cool, dude. Like I said, there's a reason he's one of my favorites. And a lot of people think, oh, you probably like Hulk, you know, or Sting or any of those other wrestlers. And I'm like, nah, man, my favorite Roddy Piper, you know, even though he came before my time, like I still like just enjoy the old clips and stuff like that.
Okay. I don't know anything about wrestling to know.
I hate that for you because I didn't set out to make this the Roddy Piper show, but it turned out to be. So please bear with me. We're talking Hot Rod today.
Oh, okay. I could talk sometimes though.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're free to talk whenever, you know.
No, I meant about the movie.
You mean to mansplain what wrestling is?
I've seen wrestling, okay?
Isn't that great?
I didn't follow
Isn't
wrestling.
that a great thing about our show, though? I don't stop the show dead to explain to Brittany what the fuck wrestling is. I have heard that, and I've heard this guy's wife on this podcast being like, well, I know what it is. Like, I just don't know the character's name. So anyway, what they do is, no, I know the difference between pro wrestling and the other.
I fucking get it. Did you just mansplaining though?
I did. Oh, it's a bucket of laughs on the show. That person just shot themselves, didn't they?
That's not
I
funny.
can't take the laughter.
Anyway.
Back to the movie.
So the next day, Nana goes to a construction site and he asks for a job. Mm-hmm. They give him a job, but tell him he can't sleep there.
Yeah.
And then a man named Frank shows Nada a shanty town that he can stay at. Frank complains about the rich people and society and stuff. and not to suggest that he not be so pessimistic. He didn't say it that way, but that's how I took it. And then he says that he believes in America and he just follows the rules because everyone has hard times.
Yeah, follow the rules and we'll get there. God damn it. When he does that too, you're like, you poor motherfucker.
Sometimes you just gotta. No.
Yeah. Isn't the American dream such a wonderful thing to think about? And it's just that it's not there. I mean, anyway.
It's not there.
Of course, Keith David. I mean, everybody knows Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David.
Yeah,
dude.
You know that guy.
He plays Frank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith David. Yep.
I didn't feel the need to really go into Keith David because out of a lot of genre movies, he's everybody's favorite for the most part and stuff. Britt knows him from The Thing. Remember, he played Childs. Yeah, he was. Remember the last shot of The Thing, where everybody debates on who's the Thing and shit like that.
No, I don't remember that movie.
We've got to watch that again. I've got to hear your updated thought process on the thing.
I don't know what my mindset is when we watched that movie.
You hated it. I remember you talked for weeks about hating it. It's an ongoing joke on this show that you hated The Thing.
You know, honestly, if I can be perfectly frank about that, that's funny, Frank. Is I think I was mad at you.
Really?
About something. And sometimes when I'm mad at you about something, I purposely hate the movie to try to get back at you.
Weird. Because I don't even care if you hate these movies.
No, because I used to do that. And
ooh, Brittany was using it as a crutch to get at me.
Didn't work.
But anyway.
Because what are the chances I'm going to stay mad at you long enough to even care? Why? Why did I do that? What the fuck was I thinking? I don't know.
Who fucking knows? But Keith David.
You're like not even mad.
Now, the Thing was obviously the movie that impressed Carpenter on David's acting. So when writing the character of Frank, he wanted the character to not be a traditional sidekick, which I love that about this movie is because Keith isn't just a fucking addition to Rowdy's, or I'm calling him by his wrestling name.
And you called him by his real name.
I'm just going to call him by his real fucking. But he's not just an addition to Roddy's character, you know. Right. He's not just a backup character. He's his own guy, you know, and that's what I love about this character. So so Carpenter wrote the part specifically for Keith David for that reason.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So that night, people are watching TV and these conspiracy people come on and say that everyone is just living in a state of consciousness that resembles sleep. They say that this started 8 months ago by scientists and that there are more poor people and that they have created a repressed society. He's talking about no
human rights.
Human rights, that's the word I was looking for. No human rights, slavery and stuff like. He goes like way into detail about it. I was like, I'm not typing all that.
Well, it super relates to what we're going through today.
Oh my God.
And it's kind of spooky. You know what I miss about conspiracy stuff? What happened to spooky conspiracies? You know, now we got fucking stupid ass shit like the frogs are turning us gay or something like that.
What?
Like, or the clouds are fucking giving us like butt herpes. It's fucking stupid. Conspiracy theories have gotten dumb, and used to they were dumb but kind of spooky. You know,
right,
like shadowy governments and all this kind of fun shit. I think it's because now the shadowy government just kind of like spilled out in front of us all, and we're all like, "Oh God, there it is!" Like,
fuck.
Yeah, the government showed us its dick, and now there's no mystery left. Of course, you have Buck Flowers.
Of course,
playing one of the homeless guys here, talking about stuff, and. Buck Flowers is here in one of the 5 roles he would play throughout his career. Drunk cop, drunk homeless person, drunk fisherman, drunk redneck.
Nice.
Seriously, though. Buck Flowers was like a fucking amazing character actor. Now, most of the homeless you see in this movie, though, were cast right from the street.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of them really were homeless. A Carpenter would give them food and paychecks and stuff, and something that Roddy Piper said was a pretty classy thing to do. There were times through filming, too, that were really bumpy, you know, because they're filming in L.A., and that specific area in L.A., I think the part where they filmed with the shantytown still is not developed.
Oh, I'm not
I
surprised.
don't think they've developed that area still. But Roddy said they had to pay off a few gangs
to film there.
Yeah, which isn't unheard of. I mean, when we talked about Candyman, we heard about the filmmakers having to make special like pacts with the gang members and stuff so they could film.
So the next day, the same hackers that came on the TV are they're still talking over the TV. And then Nada sees the leader, Gilbert, suspiciously running over to the church across the street.
Uh-huh.
So he follows him and he goes inside and he sees this they have a weird setup. Like there's like a lab, like with chemicals,
the sunglasses and stuff.
There's like boxes and the music that's coming from the church, I'm using air quotes here, is actually like just a recorder outside of the church. By the way, the sign says that this is an Episcopal church. This is not music for an Episcopal church because that's where I grew up.
Yeah, because they're singing Rock of Ages, I think, aren't they?
I don't know what they're singing, but not something that you would sing in the Episcopal church. And then on the wall it says, "They live, we sleep." So meanwhile, Gilbert, the guy from the broadcast, and the preacher dude and a few other people are having a meeting upstairs, and they're saying that the broadcast should be working and that they need to get more people to listen to them. Then the preacher finds Nada, and we find out that he's blind because he's touching all over Nada's face and stuff because he wants to know who he is. But then the police helicopter flies really, really close, and you're like, oh shit, something's about to go down. There has to be.
Yeah, well, obviously it's the cops.
Yeah, because they're like
Something's
watching,
about to be
and
wrong.
that helicopter was really low.
Yeah.
So Nada tells Frank about all of this, and Frank gets pissed and tells him to mind his own business.
What I love about this early on here with the stuff, like where you're with Nada and stuff, and he's seeing shit like that. Mm-hmm. Like I love the paranoia Carpenter puts on you. You know, just that little bit of paranoia and stuff that makes you like really. Like, what the fuck is this? You know, I think that's where the horror lies in this movie is just the pure paranoia and stuff at first. And then
you're like,
yeah. And then when you start learning about this underground thing and stuff like that, it starts getting spookier. This does not feel like an alien movie.
Right.
Like any kind of alien movie that came before. I guess, well, it feels more along the lines of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or stuff where, you know, the old kind of 50s kind of weird movies, you know, like that weird sci-fi 50s, especially the looks of these things, which we'll get into here in a little while.
Yeah.
But no, like I do like the mystery at first too. I don't know. I've started noticing something since I've been screenwriting for a lot of times. I kind of, not this movie, because I saw this at a very young age and I was shocked. You know, when you start getting into it, you're like, oh shit, it's aliens. You know, because this could go one or two ways. It could go aliens or it could go just like a government conspiracy. Right. This feels like a conspiracy movie at first.
What about writing screenplays?
Oh, sorry. But I was rambling again. But no, like I've noticed like with some movies now, since I've been writing stories for a while, I'm starting to pick up things like, and it's starting to ruin movies for me a little bit, you know, like we were watching it, but not good movies. That sounds terrible, but simpler kind of productions and stuff. I've started noticing things like on Stranger Things.
Oh no.
Like our son was getting pissed at me because I could just kind of tell what was going to happen. So I was like, well, yeah, this character's going to die. And the next guy is probably going to be that character that dies because this would affect the plot in this way and make this move forward. And he's like, I don't like watching this with you.
That's rude. Don't ruin it for the children.
Because they were like, and I won't let any spoilers out here. We're already spoiling They Live. But like this one character died. And he's a very, very popular character. And so
you're not going to give anything away, but the popular character died.
Oh my God. All the characters in Stranger Things are popular. Let's just
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, and then that character died, and I was like, and they were like, "Didn't you cry? Wasn't it sad?" And I was like, "Not really." And I kind of knew he was gonna die. Like how else would they have like progressed the story? There's no. So anyway, like. Needless to say, I wonder if that's the same with musicians. If they start playing music and stuff, does music get kind of weird to them? Like they can kind of see the progression of the musical notes and stuff?
Maybe.
That's interesting. Anyway, That has nothing to do with They Live. Now, I don't mean to make this again about Roddy Piper, but but here we are. Before he would be Hot Rod, he was Roderick Toombs, born in Saskatoon, Canada. Now, Roddy and his family kind of drifted town to town, where he learned amateur wrestling and boxing. He wasn't huge on school and got expelled, which led to a falling out with his father and led to his homelessness. Now, after he worked, he would kind of go town to town working odd jobs and travel, living in youth hostels or on the streets before finally trying out for pro wrestling at age 15.
Wow.
He started really rising up to the top. Not long after that, too. And he would get his name, Roddy Piper, from a promoter who heard he could play the bagpipes. That was his whole theme,
He can play the bagpipes?
Yeah. He had a whole Irish theme to him, too.
Wow.
Like he would wear a kilt and his white shirt that said Hot Rod across it. And that's how he'd come out and stuff. And he'd come out to some Irish music. It was great. So when it came to playing a homeless drifter, Roddy found it extremely comfortable to get into, into that mindset. And he related to the characters in Homeless Extras spot on. In fact, there's a scene coming up that you're about to get to where the police raid and tear down the homeless shanty. And Roddy found that super super because he said that he actually saw those things happen on his times in the streets. And so it kind of affected him a little bit.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Another thing about this movie is the way we treat the homeless. There is a real deepening hatred for the homeless like the country has for some reason. Have you ever noticed that?
Yes.
There is a hatred for the It's not just, oh God, these homeless people look bad on the streets. It's like a pure hatred.
Right.
People do things about the homeless and towards the homeless that I don't understand. Where did the disconnect of you not having a home and stuff make you not human?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very strange situation, America finds itself in, a place that values itself on helping the poor and the hungry. We're all poor and hungry. But yeah, there's that just and we see it in our state too, the cops just go and tear down these fucking tents that these people build, they're just trying to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, there are some homeless people that hurt people, but there's some people who have homes that hurt people. So I don't see it as a mainly homeless problem.
Right.
But yeah, and it doesn't make any sense of why they would do that. They're not really hurting anybody by having a tent out in the woods.
No, they cleared out real fast when PGA came through town.
Oh man, there was so the PGA came through Tulsa and there was zero homeless people. I saw zero homeless people
because they moved them all.
Yeah, they all fucking moved them. It's fucking weird because that's what they do here. They shuffle them around so you can't see them anymore, but they're still fucking there. We're not doing anything for the problem.
Right.
And that's where a lot of this movie is based in. There's a systematic problem with class. There's a class warfare going on.
Right. So later that night, the police come to raid the church, and then they go and bulldoze down the shantytown. The riot police end up attacking the preacher and the hacker guy. And Nada sees this happening, but he doesn't do anything to help. And for a minute, I was like, why is he not doing anything? And then I thought about it. How is he supposed to live when there's 8 fucking police with guns?
Plus, he doesn't know really what's fucking going on. They could be running a meth lab out of this fucking church. Because everybody does come out. A lot of people don't know what's going on, so a lot of people are watching, thinking, "Oh, the fuck's happening to the church across the street?" And for the most part, they get everything, a lot of the stuff out of there. That's why he sees everybody drive off real quick.
Yeah,
before the cops come and raid the place.
Yeah, but he does find the scared kid, and they go into this apartment to hide, and there's already people there hiding to stay safe.
Yeah.
So the next day, everyone's picking up the pieces of the shantytown, what they can find that didn't get trashed. And Nada wanders into the church again. He takes a box and finds out that it's just a box of sunglasses.
Right.
But he takes a pair with him and realizes that it makes the world look black and white. And there are subliminal messages like obey, no individual thought. all over the place. Like everything is black and white.
Yeah. I like how he looks at the money and it says, "This is your god now." Like,
yes.
It's interesting.
And some people look like aliens. And quickly you realize these are the rich, gritty. That's not what I meant. Rich, greedy people.
Yeah, it's all the wealthy people that look like these things, like when you see them and stuff. Now,
hold on a second.
Oh,
there's
okay.
something I didn't mention that is very important. Is, by the way, these rich, greedy people, alien people, they have these watches that they talk into.
Yeah.
They're like, man, sunglasses. Blah blah blah. Like they're describing him.
I love because definitely the looks of these things, these aliens and stuff, being like these weird kind of humanistic kind of creatures and stuff like that. And they're definitely like in suits, they're rubber masks and stuff like that. I love the looks of them because it definitely reminds you, especially when it goes black and white, it reminds you of that old school, like 50s sci-fi alien movies and stuff like that. Yeah. That's what I love about the looks of this when they go into this world. Now, all the stuff you see on the billboards, like especially the billboards and stuff in this monochrome world, when Nada puts on his glasses, that was a lot of matte paintings done by Jim Danforth, who did work for Clash of the Titans, all the way to Jason Takes Manhattan and beyond. So during a few scenes, though, you might notice that Roddy is wearing a wedding ring.
Sure.
Yeah, well, that was I guess only people like me noticed that. But that was because he refused to take that off during filming. Roddy was married. He had married his wife in 1982, and the two remained married until his death in 2015.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, but if you're in your own movies, or if you're ever in a movie and you take your wedding ring off, fuck you.
I didn't take off my wedding ring when we were dating people. Why would I take it off in a movie? But anyway.
I don't know, but if a director tells you to, then they can take that up with me. I will fuck a bitch up.
What's really interesting about this movie coming around 1988 is you had just, you had Rambo, you had Terminator, you had all these movies that, like the Chuck Norris movies and stuff like that, pretty much everything coming out of canon. Like you had all these movies that were about, America, rah, rah, rah,
Really?
Like, yeah, all these American propaganda shit.
That's what they said then?
Basically, you had all this American propaganda and all this other shit like coming out around this time. Right? I'm not dissing those movies. I love them. I love those movies for what they are. But like, this movie was a little different. This is definitely like out of the mold there with all those other movies that are action based, because this is more of an action film than anything.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, it has its horror elements, but it's more of an action movie, just like Escape from New York. We talked about on that episode that like it's definitely has horror elements, but it's more of just pure action.
Yeah.
So like the same here. So people going to see this movie, some of them were a little taken aback by what they were watching. Because you might see on the TV, maybe you're a wrestling fan, you see Roddy Piper in a commercial holding a machine gun or something. You're thinking, oh shit, this is going to be like Rambo. We're going to go have a good time. He's going to kill all the bad guys. We'll be done with it. But you get this, right. And this is not what you think you're going into. John Carpenter said during one of the showings, he witnessed a young guy like walk out because he was pissed that it wasn't like Rambo.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so a lot of people were taken aback, and especially that the time period that this came out. This came out November 4th, which was right before the presidential elections on November 8th.
Oh shit!
So this was the perfect movie to have come out around that time.
Oh shit!
Especially when it's poking at the Reagan administration and stuff like that.
Right.
Reaganomics.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah.
So the cops stop Nada and they know that what these glasses are. And they act like they're going to shoot him. So he beats them up, shoots them with their own fucking gun. Then he takes the rifle out of their car and just goes into a bank. This is what made me think, like, he does this professionally. He just went into the bank and he says that he's there to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Yes.
And he's all out of bubblegum.
The most famous line from this fucking movie. People quote this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them without even knowing where it fucking comes from.
Me.
Really?
Yes.
Really? So you've heard this before this?
Yes.
And I'm assuming maybe you've seen the Obey. Like the words obey in a meme or something like that.
I might have, yeah.
Yeah, those were all over the place. I'll talk about the artists later, but.
So then he starts shooting and killing the aliens. And when he leaves the bank, there's a little like UFO thing in the sky with a camera watching him.
Even that is pure 1950s sci-fi right there.
Yeah.
Just the chubby little like UFO looking thing, you know?
Yes. And he just shoots it. He said, fuck you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because he's like, hey, little fella. But that line, of course, was improvised by Roddy Piper. Carpenter said that Roddy had kept journals of lines he could say when he was in the ring, you know, as a heel, and which that term would go on to be so fucking popular. It appeared in video games like Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem would say this in the video game. So a lot of people kind of thought that it comes from Duke Nukem, the video game.
Oh, wow.
Which is really funny. And years ago, you know, before Roddy's death in 2015, it had its own bubblegum soda flavor. Yeah.
Really?
Roddy even like hawked this stuff on TV and stuff. I remember this. You can still order it online.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's bubblegum flavored?
Yeah. You don't like bubblegum soda?
I don't like bubblegum flavored things, no.
I hated bubblegum flavored things when I was younger, but I had some like bubblegum like flavored something the other day. It might have been a popsicle or something. And I was like, man, this is really fucking good. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and so I'm aging into old flavors, like black licorice, you know? I could get down on some blackjack gum right now, but like I think it's like I'm young at heart, but like the rest of me's old or something. Like I'm graduating to old flavors. Like we were having on the Shooting the Shit over on Patreon. We were having a talk about desserts on there. Where I was like, I don't like all these complicated desserts. And I started thinking about it when I was editing. And I was like, man, you sound like the oldest motherfucker alive.
You know why this is, though?
Why?
Heartburn.
Oh, man. Heartburn will get you.
Yes.
God damn. Heartburn's the number one enemy.
We can't laugh. This is supposed to be serious.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know. Anyway. So Nada then goes into a parking garage and makes a woman named Holly drive him out of there.
And Holly is played by Meg Foster, who we had on the show on our last movie episode. We didn't have her on the show. That would have been awesome. But we talked about her.
When did that happen?
Yeah, we talked about her. She was in Lords of Salem.
Oh,
she played the head witch in that movie.
Nice.
She's older now, you know.
Right.
But you know, she was always cast for stuff for her eyes. Man, I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it was that person because of her eyes.
Yeah, because her eyes are like this hypnotizing steel kind of blue. You know? And she still has the same eyes, even though she's a little older.
Well, they didn't replace her eyeballs.
Okay, that was a dumb thing to say. You're right. But yeah, Meg Foster.
She's the same eyeballs when she was born too, by the way.
And she would like get cast in like, you know, like witch roles and stuff like that. And stuff like in Masters of the Universe. Like she played like I don't know. I don't know much about He-Man, you guys. So I'm sure you guys are like, oh, it's this character. I don't know the name of that. But she played a role in Masters of the Universe and stuff. And just her fucking eyes alone just makes her like a power in your movie, you know?
Oh, definitely. So he makes her take him back to her house, and he takes the glasses off when he's there, and he says that they make him high, but the come down is really hard. It gave him a really bad headache.
Yeah, because that's one thing that everybody's been experiencing when they're dealing with these like signals and stuff is like a headache and stuff.
Right. So Nada tells Holly that they're being controlled by these things, she just says, and he doesn't know what they are, but they need to stop them. And Holly says she will do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't hurt her. So she agrees to look through his sunglasses. I mean, she doesn't reach through them, but she says she will. And she's going to see whatever he sees. She's trying to stay as safe as possible. So when Nada lets his guard down a little bit, she ends up pushing him out the window, and he falls down this embankment behind her house.
Oh, she full on hits him with a fucking bottle, and he flies out this fucking pane glass window.
That's right, yeah.
And I gotta say, John Carpenter knows how to film a stunt man. Because this looks rough. This is over the top in the best way.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's funny about this movie is it does have like this Canon-esque feel to it. You know, I think this would be his second movie he did with live pictures, but it's got this canon kind of quality to the action and stuff where it's kind of over the top when it doesn't necessarily need to be, like especially during this scene.
Right. So she ends up calling the police and he just runs off as fast as he can because he's a little hurt.
You know, and Roddy Piper, you know, credit to him, he was a really good actor.
Right.
He was always like a perfectionist and always hated his scenes. Like the scene where he lets his guard down and he's real like, you know, this is the one scene in the movie where he's less of a superhero, you know, and more of just a normal guy. He's tired. He's kind of worn out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And John Carpenter always would like say he did such a fucking fantastic job at this, you know, as showing a real human side of this character.
Right.
But Roddy is like, no, man, I could have done better. I should have pushed myself further and stuff. He always did that. In fact, like Hell Comes the Frogtown, which is his, you know, if you're not a Roddy Piper fan, that's the other second famous movie that everybody knows. And he always hated that movie. He would always say like, I hope you never see it. Like,
oh no.
But I love that movie and it's because of him. He's the only good actor in that entire movie.
Oh, poor guy. Self-conscious about it.
He was. And like I said, you know, he is a testament to how good of an actor a wrestler can be. Not every wrestler goes on to be like, you know, really good. Like you watch like something with Stone Cold Steve Austin and it's not that great. He's just stone cold each time, you know, or Goldberg. Okay. He's just Goldberg all the time. But like people like Roddy Piper, like really had this like really good quality to them where they could also play a human being. Because that's what you want.
Right. Diversity, is that the word you're looking
for? Yeah,
for?
that's the word I'm looking for. Oh, stop that laughing. Stop that laughing now.
It wasn't funny. I'm sorry.
Serious show. Serious show.
Serious. Okay.
Serious. Serious. Stop laughing.
I'm just going to ignore you.
How the fuck you could... Anyway, just move on. How are you going to criticize somebody for laughing when we're talking about these movies?
And it's our show.
It's a good time. Stop listening. Anyway.
So Nada goes to find Frank at the construction site, and Frank wants nothing to do with him because he's killed these people or whatever. But Nada then goes to the alley to find a box of sunglasses, and he has to dig them out of this trash truck. Well, Frank ends up finding him and gives him 1 week's pay and tells him to go hide and never talk to him again.
Yeah. Because Frank, this whole movie has been like, yeah, something might be up, but I don't want to be fucking involved in this shit.
He just wants to make his money and go home to his family.
Yeah.
Because they live in another state, but whatever. Well, Nada just wants him to try on these glasses, and they fight for what seemed like...
It is an eternity.
As long as Leigh talks.
It's over 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's a short spiel for you.
You know, when we were at the Jamboree, Kurt, longtime listener Kurt, he was with me there, and we were watching Joe Bob and Darcy go at it, and he was going on, and Darcy just looks at him like, huh. And Kurt was like, that's you guys.
Anyway. So then Frank finally puts on the glasses and he finally understands what's happening.
Yeah. And this scene, my God, it's up there with one of the greatest fights in movie history, I swear. What's cool is though, you know, like, cause I'm sure people are like, what about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and stuff? Well, what's really cool about this particular fight, it's a real looking fight. You know, it's not flashy. There isn't any kung fu going on. Nobody's going whoa or anything like that shit. And nobody's flying through the air with kicks or anything like that. And not all the punches land. You know, it's kind of a humorous fight too at certain moments. Like Keith David goes to rear back and punch him and he busts out a window with his hands. And like Roddy just starts laughing at him.
Like you're stupid.
Yeah, like it's sloppy, but it's also like really well done. And Piper and Keith David, they rehearsed this in Carpenter's backyard for like 2 fucking months, which sounds like probably the best time ever because Carpenter, of course, wanted to implement a suplex into this choreography. And so of course, Roddy's like, well, which one do you want me to add? And he was like, you want me to do them on you? And he's like, no.
Don't, please don't.
Please don't. But Carpenter did have him do a sleeper hold just to feel what it was like.
Yeah.
And Carpenter's like, those things are kind of real. Like I said, he was always a big wrestler fan. But funny story, since we're on fighting and stuff like that, you might notice Roddy's physique in this movie.
Uh-huh.
That nickname Hot Rod goes both ways in the department because dear Lord. But a lot of people after this movie was released and stuff, they kind of dogged on Roddy, saying that like Carpenter had digitally added his head to someone else's body.
What?
Because if you notice, and this is weird, we may have talked about people like this on the show, but Roddy had this specific physique. Mm-hmm. In shirts and normal attire and stuff like that, he wasn't this hulking monster.
Right.
Like his shirts weren't ripping apart and shit like that. You see, like, nothing against The Rock or Batista or something. When you see them in normal clothes, it's like, you got to take your shirt off because you look fucking weird with a shirt on. Right. You see these guys and they look like that. But Roddy had this physique, kind of the same lines along the lines of fucking Ryan Reynolds. You see Ryan Reynolds in regular clothes, he just looks like a normal dude. But then when he pulls his shirt off, he's fucking jacked, bigger than a fucking brick house.
Right. You're like, holy shit.
And Roddy was the same. So you see him in this movie when he's wearing his flannel and stuff like that. He just normal, kind of almost looks like a dad these days.
Definitely.
He's got a dad bod when he wears clothes in this movie. But then when he takes it off, he's fucking like, oh, wow. Like,
you don't see that in his wardrobe.
No, and what's funny is you don't see dudes built like that anymore in your action movies. Dudes in action movies, aside from Ryan Reynolds, he's probably one of the other ones. But dudes in action movies are all these weird cut-ass Adonises, but like even in clothes, it seems odd.
Right.
Because they're just these big old fucking muscle machines.
And you don't need to be that to be tough.
No, and Roddy was never, as big as like The Rock or some of the other dudes. He wasn't as fucking
bulky.
Jacked.
Yeah,
he was still bulky, but he wasn't,
Not in a shirt, he wasn't.
No, that's the thing. That's crazy. Even in his wrestling days, at his heyday, he still was. In a shirt, he just looked normal.
So the guys go to a hotel room, I'm assuming is what this is. And they're trying to come up with a plan on what to do.
Yeah. And
Frank says that they need to start to find people who made the glasses. And Nada's like, but they're all dead. But later that night, Nada tells a story about how his dad tried to kill him when he was little. I don't know why this is significant. I don't know why this is here.
I feel like, John Carpenter, when you listen to him talk about Roddy Piper and you listen to him choosing him for this role, you feel like John was trying to prove a fucking point. Like, this guy can act his ass off.
Right.
And so it's like a scene like this, which really doesn't have much to do with the plot, gives Roddy Piper a reason to be sentimental.
Right.
To give his character a little bit, a little bit of feeling to it where you feel bad about this guy. And that may also because, like I said, he was known for playing the heel, being the evil guy,
right,
he was evil and stuff like that. And so for him to be a hero in this movie, you do have to give him some sentimental parts and stuff like that, just to make people, he's not.
He's not just.
Yeah. He doesn't just play villains.
Right. So Frank says that maybe those things have always been with them, like the aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
And Nada says that they have hell to pay. What you gonna do, huh? What you gonna do?
Oh, man. We'll see in a minute.
Right.
But on an episode of Monster Vision back in 97, Roddy was a guest with Joe Bob Briggs, and they did They Live. And he mentioned how Carpenter wanted him to talk about the subtext of this film, the political stuff, during the promotions, where he would tour around with the movie, which is like I said, it totally digs on Reaganomics, but Roddy, being a Canadian citizen, was here on his green card, and he kind of felt odd talking about American politics. for that reason. Plus, he kind of thought Reagan wasn't so bad. Yeah. So that was another reason he kind of shied away from it. But of course, the political drive of this film is totally an attack on that era, you know, and it feels just as important today, which is spooky.
It's very spooky.
Like, it shows you how far we haven't come with the politics and the wealthy, you know, and the fascist stuff. It still inspires people, you know, today. Artist Shepard Fairey, the creator of the Obey graffiti art. Like I said, you'll see this in memes nowadays, you know, on Twitter and stuff. Like, you see the Obey and stuff. You probably maybe, you know, the listener has probably also seen somebody wearing an Obey shirt. It was big in the skating community and stuff like that. And he got his idea for that from this movie. You know, he credits this movie with giving them the idea of attacking consumerism and commercialism, which is kind of silly when you think about it, because then you could buy his stuff on shirts. And it kind of does weird. But even in recent years, this movie has gone on to influence a lot of people. Do you remember the commercial where one of the Kardashians gives a cop a Pepsi?
No.
It was a PR nightmare because it was such like a fucking tone deaf fucking thing, because the police were coming to raid something and she gave them a Pepsi to calm them down. It was fucking stupid.
Oh my God.
It was rich people jerking each other off was all it was.
Yeah.
And so somebody took that video and added the aliens from They Live into it.
Nice.
Like, added them as that. And so, like, that's why this movie has come synonymous with that kind of stuff, that kind of political digs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
So sometime later, Frank runs into Gilbert, the leader of the shanty town, and he tells the guys about a meeting later that night, and he says that the world needs a wake-up call and they're going to phone it in. So that night they go to the meeting, and there are a lot of people there, a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
And they are given some contacts to replace the sunglasses, and the hacker is on the TV and says that these aliens are turning Earth's atmosphere into their atmosphere. So basically global warming.
Yeah.
And Gilbert.
Which is kind of crazy, because at the time in the 80s and stuff, global warming was kind of known to scientists, but to the population at large, it wasn't as well known as it is today. You know?
Right.
I mean, we're sitting in the middle of global warming, people.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yes. So Gilbert says these aliens are here to develop Earth, and he calls Earth a third world planet.
It's a third world country to them, you know?
Right. So the group says that they need to close out the alien signal, and then Holly shows up.
So did you get right here? Did you start feeling like, what the fuck? Like
she knew about this.
Yeah. How did she find her way here? And so like, I think her turncoat later is like, it's kind of televised right here at this moment.
Right.
You know, even though like earlier, you know, she's rich. So like you will automatically assume, you know, especially because Gilbert is given that speech talking about, you know, people are dropping out of their group because these aliens and stuff are offering them riches and stuff like that. And he said everybody will do anything to be rich.
Right. Well, she apologizes, and then the side of the building just fucking blows up. This is like kind of like, you're like, oh, maybe they're gonna kiss. Maybe this is gonna be our romantic scene. It was really funny
because like you're like, oh, he was okay. We got a love interest now. This is going good, and that's as far as it goes. We just get sentimental between each other, and then that's it.
And then the side of the fucking building blows up, and then there's a ton of fucking police in there raiding, and they're just fucking people up. This is like 5 minutes of just fucking gunshots.
That's what I love about Carpenter too. He does give you like a little bit of love interest, but he takes that shit away real quick. Right. Like in Escape from New York, you know, where Snake meets that lady that you think, oh yeah, she's gonna, and then she fucking dies in the next like couple of scenes.
So you thought they were good? Nope.
Yeah.
So Frank and Nada get cornered in an alley, and they find an alien watch thing that I had mentioned earlier. Well, for some reason, it opens a fucking portal in the ground. So the guys just jump in.
I mean, they're surrounded and stuff, which it's a fantastic alley gunfight, man. You don't see these in fucking movies anymore where you got the two heroes walking down the alleyway, you know, shooting people on the roofs, shooting people in front of them. It's fun, man. It's some shit from like a spaghetti Western, you know?
Oh, yeah. So the guys jump in and now they're in the alien headquarters or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the people in there are holding a banquet to celebrate killing the terrorists. That's what they're calling the normal people as terrorists. So then the guys run into one of the guys from the shantytown who has flipped and like gotten rich or whatever.
Yeah.
And he takes them on a tour, and they're seeing people being teleported to wherever the fuck they want to go. They just jump up to this thing and
it's really cool. You know, the effects in this movie, even though some people thought they were kind of cheesy and stuff, I still think they hold up. Like, it looks good still.
Yeah. It's 1988, like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, right? That's not bad for that time.
No. It still looks good.
So then they go down to the control room where they're putting out their signal or whatever. The guy's asked to go into the TV station area.
Yeah, which Buck Flowers is leading them on this like tour of the underground station.
Oh, okay.
Which Buck Flowers does not look less at home in a fucking suit. Like, he looks so weird in this fucking suit. Because you're constantly used to seeing him play all these like schlubby dudes, you know?
Sorry. So they go into the TV station and Franken automatically kill the guards.
Yeah.
Then the man tells them that basically the whole world is fucked and they might as well try and have it good for a change. Like, sell out, do this shit, and you'll be fine. So they're gonna kill him, but he just teleports off. And the guys take the guns and they're just fucking everyone up in their way.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're
the last like 10 to 20 minutes of this movie is just pure fucking adrenaline.
Right. So they're trying to make their way up to the rooftop because they're going to fuck up the signal up there to try to get all of this to stop. I don't know how they're taking on a whole fucking alien army, but okay. I mean, good on you, right?
They're doing good so far.
So along the way, they end up finding Holly, and I don't want to say it.
I know, man.
So they get to the stairway.
I've seen this movie so many fucking times, and I know what's coming, but each time I'm like, God damn it.
I was mad because I read ahead on the synopsis.
Oh, yeah, you accidentally read ahead and ruined it for yourself.
Yes, I did. Anyway, so they get to the stairway thing to go up, and there's officers there. Well, Nada has to kill them. So he does, and he just runs up the stairs. He's like not looking back. He thinks they're there or whatever. Well, Holly takes this opportunity and shoots Frank in the head.
God damn it.
I knew I didn't
Which
like
is cool.
her.
Which is cool because it does show that like how good of a character Frank is. You know, he's not just this throwaway sidekick and stuff like that. Because you traditionally feel betrayed.
Right. So Nada goes up and he finds the big satellite. But before he can do anything, Holly tells him to stop. She says that he can't win, which is kind of true. I don't know. So then these helicopters come and they're telling him to drop his weapons. He drops one of them and then he pulls a gun out of his sleeve.
Yeah, I love this.
And he shoots at the satellite anyway. So they shoot him. And before he dies, he flips them off.
I love that. I love that ending because I love before he does that, he shoots Holly and then he's like, fuck it. And just fucking shoots that fucking satellite out.
Right.
And then, yeah, that's the last of him when he just fucking flips the bird.
Yes. So he has fucked up their signal now. Mm-hmm. So everyone on Earth that's an alien is now exposed.
Yeah.
You mostly see them on the TV, but there's like a bar and there's some guy sitting there and he's just like, oh, fuck, they can see me.
It's great.
Then we get this shot of this woman having sex and she sees the alien dude on TV and then she looks down and the dude she's fucking.
What's the matter, baby?
Yes.
That's a perfect thing to end on.
Yes.
That's how you end your film. That was great. And I love it because, I mean, he does win whether or not he dies at the end and stuff like that. So he did, he did. He succeeded.
You say that, but they couldn't fix their satellite?
Well, what's crazy is you think these like beings who have been doing this for so long, I mean, I'm assuming the way Buck Flowers tells it, the way Buck Flowers tells it is they've been doing this for decades. They own the whole world. It's all controlled by them. One massive thing. And so like you would think they would have other signals, like backup signals, backup generators and stuff. I don't know. It's not a very smart race apparently.
Right.
But I mean, are the rich really that smart? You know, because that's the allegory here. The rich and the wealthy and the fascists control us all. Right. And stuff like that, which, we didn't really go too far into the political stuff of this movie because I think everybody gets it. Right. Like everybody knows the politics of this movie. So I didn't think I had to go too far into it. But what's funny is some people read the wrong way. You had neo-Nazis groups get on this movie and stuff and start saying that the movie represented the Jewish culture taking over the world. Oh, and that the aliens were Jews and stuff, to the point where John Carpenter had to say, no, you guys are full of fucking shit. That's not what this movie's about.
Oh, no. That sounds terrible.
So talk about reading whatever you want into it. Right. Can we kill Nazis? Is that should be legal, right? They should be able to hunt Nazis, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's the one thing. Anyway, I'm not telling you guys to do that, but, I'm not free t-shirt if you film it. Oh God. Lawyers have told me we cannot say that. So. But anyway, They Live was originally scheduled for an October 21st release in 1988, but it was moved to November 4th. Like I said, the presidential elections, but also to avoid competing with Halloween 4, which is hilarious because John Carpenter started this whole entire franchise. Halloween 4 was actually the first in the series, though, to not involve Carpenter at all. He produced 2 and 3, and of course, like I said, created the whole thing with Halloween. The movie, surprisingly, and I say surprisingly because each time we talk about a John Carpenter movie, it seems like we always end with, and years later it became a cult film. Well, the same is with this one, but the movie hit number 1 at the box office. When it came out. Yeah, it spent 2 weeks in the top 10 until it faded out of theaters, making about $13 million during its run. Around that, whenever I say box office results, it's always a grain of salt because you never exactly know how much. You'll hear all sorts of numbers. Right. But anyway, reception was mixed, of course, as any movie like this is, but praise for its throwbacks to the 50s B movie, alien visuals, and the acting. Which, like I said, Roddy Piper is very good in this movie. Right. The idea with the 50s visuals and stuff was exactly that. Carpenter wanted to avoid the disgusting alien creatures and stuff like that, which is something you mentioned because you were like, we've watched Alien, we've watched some other alien movies and stuff like that. And you're like, I like this because it's not that. It's not a gross creature. Movie. Yeah.
I thought they were robots.
Well, he kind of went with that too. He wanted them to be kind of robotic, even though they're not robots and stuff like that. Really what he was going for, because it's just dudes in suits. In fact, one stunt guy played multiple roles in this movie. Right. But because they were corrupting humans, they themselves should be a corrupted version of us, was his thought process with that. Oh, okay. To me, They Live only gets better with age, as I said. It's great satire. It's great political commentary that to this day is fucking relatable, which is scary because that means we haven't gone very far because we might as well be living in a They Live world. I think we are. It wouldn't fucking shock me if I put on some sunglasses one day and just fucking saw all this. It's be like, okay, that all tracks.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. But also, while being all that, it's fun. It's got fun action and stuff like that. Stuff that was coming out around this time. It's got that same amount of just good over the top action. And the score and visuals is exactly what you want from John Carpenter flick. It's all there. He does all the music and stuff like that. And as much as people would probably ask why, it is on my perfect movie list.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I have no complaints about this movie. I really don't. Also, it's Roddy Piper versus aliens. If that doesn't sell you on this movie, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Not the selling point for me on this, okay?
That's okay. That's okay for you.
I get a pass?
You get a pass.
Because I touch your wiener, right?
Yep, exactly. See, now you're no. Look, I stand by that it is a testament to how good of actors professional wrestlers truly are.
Oh,
They're really good when they go to the screen. Sometimes I kind of stand by my dislike of all the Hogan films. Except for the sex tape. That was great, A+. But yeah, it's Roddy Piper. The man took on Mr. T in WrestleMania 2. Come on. And and he fucking blindsided Superfly Jimmy Snuka with a coconut to the head, which collapsed the whole Piper's Pit set. It's an amazing fucking scene. Oh, I created that feud for years on. Snuka would go on to murder his girlfriend, but that's all in the past. But anyway.
Okay.
Enough about me. What did you think about 1988's They Live?
I really like this action film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's less horror than it is action.
It's a fucking action movie.
It is. It really is. I mean, I consider it horror because, like I said, it's got those horror elements, and it's John Carpenter. How do you not lump that in? Even when he's not doing horror, the movie feels like a horror movie.
No.
Really?
This did not feel like a horror movie at all.
I guess it's because I've also seen all the sci-fi movies that this draws influence from.
Right.
And stuff. And a lot of those are considered horror movies, even though, they're just a lot of action, people versus aliens and stuff like that.
But no, I love me a good action movie. I really do. And this was great. I had no complaints. At first I thought I was going to complain about the flow. Like, it was a little too slow at first, but then I understand because they were just building it up, and then all of this shit happened. I was fuck, okay.
Yeah, because this movie works on two ways. It has that commentary and the subtext and stuff like that. But also, like I said, it has the coat of like a canon action movie and shit like that.
I don't know what that means.
They're just really fun, stupid action movies. No thinking involved. You don't need to think. You just tune in and have a good time. That's kind of
how this is. Yeah.
This is. If you don't really I've met conservative people who love this movie, even though this is purely not for you, but you can watch this without having the politics just jammed in your fucking gullet.
Right.
It's not one of those movies that tries so hard to be a stance against something that it comes off disgenuine, and just fake. Because it comes from someone who has this like sophomore kind of authoritarian hate. You feel it all over this movie.
Oh yeah. Because fuck authority.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean like I guess what you're trying to say in layman's terms is like you can say fuck authority without getting real political. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Well,
and like I said, we didn't go too much into it because I feel like everybody understands these politics. I mean,
right.
What this movie's trying to say, everybody gets it. Usually, like you do get those one people who sit there and try to explain it to you, and it's like, what? No, man, I get it. Like, you're not super fucking smart if you get the politics of They Live. Like, it's all right there for you.
They're not hiding anything.
It's just well done,
right?
So you can watch this and not feel like you're getting preached to.
You know what we didn't talk about is how much your dad looks like Roddy Piper. Okay.
Well, that's why I mentioned he kind of looks like a dad.
Because he looks like your dad.
Yeah. My dad dressed like this.
He still does.
Yeah, my dad was kind of Roddy Piper's size at one point in his life. I don't know why my dad was so jacked at one point, but he was. I don't know if my dad was fighting people in his side time or what.
He'll never tell you.
No, but my dad at one point in his life looked like a fucking pit fighter to the point where like my sisters were so concerned when he got older, now that he's in his 60s and he's got a belly and stuff like that. And he's let himself go and he's doing what John Carpenter is doing. John Carpenter's retired. He's playing video games, smoking weed and just getting paid and having a good time. He doesn't bitch about what's cinema and what's not. It's
right. No, it's so funny. But no, the hair The hair.
Oh yeah, my dad would rock that kind of mullet kind of thing. Roddy Piper's mullet in this movie is the mullet you want. You know, it's not quite a mullet.
I was about to say, I don't.
You know, it's not a full-on mullet. It's like a feathered back, just a waterfall of hair. Like
right.
It's lovely.
Right. No, I all around loved it. I wouldn't put it on my perfect list because I don't have one of those. But would I watch it again? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that also makes this movie such a cult hit nowadays. You know, the fact that it is so rewatchable.
Right.
You know, and I think that goes for all John Carpenter's movies. For the most part, I know some people don't care for his later stuff, but I even like those. Those are good. That Amber Heard movie, his last movie, was a little weak. But
well, I mean, if Amber Heard was in it, then yeah.
I wasn't even on the hate Amber Heard train during that whole Johnny Depp stuff, but I just have never liked Amber Heard.
Right.
I've never cared for her as an actress. It's just she's just a bland kind of brick. Like it's.
Did you see like the pictures and the videos of her? She just she's a blank stare.
Yeah, imagine that in movies though, you know. But
Right.
but anyway, yeah, I really love this style. And you know, as far as politically driven movies, I like it to be this. And not because I love politics and stuff. We discuss politics. I explain things to you and stuff.
Right.
But I also like easygoing kind of stuff.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
to where it's like, this is fun. This is good. I don't feel like I'm getting preached to, you know, but at the same time, I'm enjoying myself. That's what I like in my political movies. And I think John Carpenter can strike that tone in a very, very smart way to where, but also be explaining his point of view, you know, be attacking the things he's attacking without it just falling apart.
And, you know, I really appreciated that Kurt Russell was not in this movie because then I would feel like it's too much like Escape from New York.
Well, exactly. And I think that's another reason why John Carpenter shied away from that, because like he had already had him in something where he's bad, you know, he's had him in so many movies where he's battling other things and stuff like that. It would have just felt like too much Kurt Russell in a John Carpenter movie, you know?
Right. So I appreciated it. It was good.
Yeah. Would you watch anything else with Roddy in it? Some Roddy Piper?
Sure.
We got to watch some of the old Roddy Piper videos, man. I got to show you this guy. He's awesome.
Not tonight.
No.
I've heard enough tonight.
I might go on Peacock, look me up some Roddy Piper. Anyway, that's They Live from 1988, man. We had a good time. We have a good time being back.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I have had a fucking ball being back doing this again with you, talking about a movie, bothering you by interrupting.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, you know, I thought, yes, I know we're back and we should be doing horror movies, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to do something a little along the lines of comedy horror or just kind of straight comedy. I consider this movie a pure comedic film. You know, with some horror elements to it. A lot of people disagree with me. They say it's not a comedy, which I'm curious to see where you land on this weird ass fucking thing that I never knew was such a sensitive topic to people. But because this movie has a big old fandom, and hopefully we don't piss them off next week. But we're going to be doing Ghostbusters. That's right, Ivan Reitman's Ghostbusters. Because have you seen Ghostbusters?
No.
I think you've probably seen like bits and pieces or something, but
I've seen more of the female version of Ghostbusters, like the newer one with Melissa McCarthy, than I have of this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters next week. We'll probably talk about that. We'll probably talk about that movie too, because like we'll probably never get around to doing that movie. That's so far into the, because we like to keep things linear. Like I kind of wanted to do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation next week, but I was like, no, we got to do Leatherface, the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre, before we do that. Okay. But I just really felt like talking about Ghostbusters, so that's what we're gonna fucking do, because it's our show and we're gonna laugh about it. God damn it.
We're gonna laugh,
because I am so pissed off about that laugh comment that I'm doing a comedy next week. So anyway, until next time, when we figure out just what is ectoplasm? What the fuck is that? Which, speaking of which, this Ghostbusters, before I let you guys all go, I gotta drop one more fact before I kill Brittany in this heat. But Ghostbusters is kind of tied into today's movie, They Live, for the reasons, if you notice at the end, the aliens that are tracking down Nada and Frank are holding these things that are tracking them.
Okay.
Those are PKE meters directly from Ghostbusters.
Okay.
So anyway, until next week when we do Ghostbusters, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.